some people are wildly inventive and creative and come up with new things, like, you know, Tom Kane and his SpongeBob. You know, that was kind of a new voice. That was something I hadn't quite heard before. I'm not like that. Most of the voices I come up with are, you know, I grew up watching the golden age of television. You know, I learned my Scottish accent from Scotty on Star Trek. You know, I learned my German accents from Hogan's Heroes. You know, and my grandfather was German. So a lot of the voices I do are kind of just, you know, my version of things I grew up hearing. I don't really create a lot of new things because that's just not what I'm good at. But that's yes.
I'm curious because the voice that you done before was like how comic was Marvel. Doing Yoda is such an iconic voice. A voice that goes through the whole Star Wars universe. You feel a sense of the strength of writing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, because and that's a unique situation. I mean, there's a few of us, you know, that because all these people are getting older, all these voices are getting passed on to a new generation of voiceover people. So, you know, it's a very, usually with a cartoon, the goal is to come up with something new and exciting and different. When you're taking over something, as you say, something as iconic as Yoda, it's the exact opposite. You just want it to sound as close as possible. I mean, I got to audition for Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam, and, you know, when Mel Blanc was getting too old, they were bringing us in, and I was in my mid-20s at the time, and they were trying to find voices for you know, the Looney Tunes characters that Mel did. And it takes 5 guys now to do what Mel did by himself. You know, nobody can do everything Mel did. And there's some voices we still can't get a good match for, like Foghorn. We really have yet to find out anybody who can do a dead-on Foghorn. But it's funny because those of us that do these things, we do talk about it sometimes. Like James Arnold Taylor, who's voice of Obi-Wan in Clone Wars, just a few months ago became the new voice of Fred Flintstone, because the original Fred, you know, well, the original Fred's dead. The Fred most of us know, who did it for 20-some years, you know, in the 80s now, he can't do it anymore. So there was a sort of passing the torch, you know, to James, who does this perfect Fred. And again, that's one thing that's great about voiceover work, is it doesn't matter what you look like, or whether you're white or black or Asian or a man or a woman. If you can do the voice, you get the job. You know, it has no connection to your physicality. And so the funny part is the guy that's doing Fred Flintstone is James Arnold Taylor, who's about 5'2" and weighs maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. And he's, you know, blonde hair, blue eye, this little tiny guy that's got this Barney voice coming out of it. And the guy that's doing Barney Rubble is a 400-pound bald black guy who looks like Morpheus. So you got this gigantic bald black guy with the floor-length Morpheus leather coat going, "Hey, Fred, hey, oh, there's a business." And next to this little tiny white guy going, "Barney!" He walks in, like, whoa, what is this about? But yeah, you do feel a sense of honor and obligation, and for as long as I'm Yoda, I'm going to try to do the best I can to bring, like I say, some honor to that role. And someday I won't do, you know, someday George will pick someone that sounds more like him than I do, and I'll wait for it. Oh gosh, yeah. Last time I was around George, I actually told him a story I've never had the guts to tell him before. Star Wars came out the day my last day of 9th grade for me, and me and my friend were sitting there leafing through the newspaper, and you know, it was like back when people actually had to look at newspapers to see what movies were playing. And I'm like, "What do you want to do? What do you want to watch?" "I don't know. What do you want?" We're like, we're looking through the ads. "Want to see that?" "No, that looks, no, I don't want to."